Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of City Hall Live. I am Joe Abeta, and our guest today is the newly elected City Councilor for District 2, Carol Romero-Wirth. Councilor, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no problem. So, okay, so what do you think? You've been now with the city, you've been elected since March. What would be your first impressions of the city?
Wow. Well, it's been an incredible 6 weeks. I think we're maybe 6.5 if we're counting.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Since I was sworn in. And you know, there are a lot of good things going on at the city. Lots of great people doing really important work. And you know, my first impressions are those, and you know, just excited to dive in deeper and you know, see what we can build on and do some positive things for the community. It was
it's interesting because you guys get sworn in on Tuesday, and then the following week you had your first city council meeting. There wasn't a lot of time to really, within that week, and I've known from previous city councilors, they always say, you have to learn as you go. They throw you into the pool, and you just got to learn to swim.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Right? Is that the way?
That's exactly right. You know, there's no transition. And I think, you know, especially from probably the mayor's perspective, you know, there's been no time to put his team in place. There's been no time to, you know, pull people together to talk about what, you know, what you want to do on the road ahead. You know, I mean, there's the campaign themes, but then how you execute all of that. There's no time to put all that together. You do it. You know, you just jump into the job and start doing it. And you know, and sometimes you have some space to think about that, and sometimes there are other things that are coming at you that you just have to be reactive to. So
yeah, and you know, I know that, I don't know. It would seem when you run, you're thinking of, well, I want to take care of my constituency. That's my main thing, right? Being a councilor from District 2. But I think a lot of folks, when they get in, they realize, well, it's a lot more the constituency. It's the support also, like what's going on in the city as far as the actual like city hall and the operations and stuff that do affect your district, right, as well. But you got to manage that as well, and you got to help mold that and manage that. Like you guys also reviewed the finance last week, and that was a huge thing, right? Because there had been some transitions that the city's going through right now, and you guys really had to, you know, get on the bull and just let's get through this, let's grind through it, and let's get through. And it was a smooth, from an, you know, I guess from an employee standpoint from previous finance meetings, you guys did a heck of a job. Yeah, we had 2.5 days of hearings, and we just dove in. We did not, you know, we have an interim finance director and an interim city manager, and you know, the issue is that the budget is due to the state on June 1st. And we, you know, have to put that together. It's not something that can wait because we've got to have a budget in place for the new fiscal year, which starts July 1st. So I think the mayor's looking at doing a review in 6 months. So you know, I think that's a nice safety net to know about. So we, you know, dove in. We looked at what's there. It was largely put together by the past city manager, the past administration. You know, I think we can tweak some things, but you know, we're not going to do any major overhauls because we just haven't had the lead time to be able to do that transition time that I spoke about just a minute ago. So, you know, I think, we dove right in, and in 6 months we'll review it again, and I feel like also that, you know, this is a very you guys have a really strong team together as far as the city council.
We do.
I think it's one of the strongest that I've seen in the time that I've worked here at the city, and I think it was really nice to see everybody working together. As a city employee, and I'm sure other people too, you guys just seem to all be in sync with each other, and you had maybe, you know, had little disagreements there or whatever, but it was all
cordial.
it was very cordial, and it was very team oriented, you know, as far as we'll still, even though we disagree, let's move on, let's see what's going to be the best the best decision that we can make for everybody. And I thought that was
Yeah,
awesome.
I think, so far, it's been great getting to know the other counselors and kind of learning, what's important to them, where they stand on things, where we're going to, have disagreements. That's a constant learning curve for me. And but they've been very welcoming. The counselors who've been there have been very helpful. I mean, I have to say, it's the other part of this, learning curve is, not only, the technology. I now have 2 phones, I have 2 computers, I have 2 iPads, and just trying to figure out how all those things sync up. That's one issue. But then, just learning people's names and what their job titles are, what they do. And so, the other counselors have been very helpful in helping navigate all that newness. So it's been good. I'm sure we'll have disagreements, but hopefully we can, work through them and work as a team.
How has it been for you as far as like, have people been calling you now in your district saying, hey, we need to address this? When did that start? Did that start pretty quickly? And what was it? What were the big concerns in your district too?
So
have been?
Yeah, so I mean, they're definitely. I'm getting constituent calls, certainly from people who have issues that are either new or have been going on for a while, and I think see new faces and think maybe now I can get something resolved. Yeah. And back to the mayor, his wanting to be user-friendly, and I think we're all, high expectations. We want to be responsive, and so, anyway, so I'm definitely getting constituent calls, getting calls also from organizations and people in the community who just want to, bring me up to speed on what they do. Gotcha. Make sure that I have the background I need when things that concern them or that involve them come before the council. So there's been a lot of those kinds of meetings. And then I sit on 5 committees, so
that's a lot of committees.
It's a lot of committees. So between the city council meetings, those getting up to speed in those 5 issue areas, there's been no shortage of reading. So
yes, you definitely.
I got.
If you haven't read before, you're definitely going to read now.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I was taking the binders, there are lots of thick binders, but I'm doing it all electronically.
Oh,
so
that's good.
thus the 2 iPads and that kind of thing.
So okay, so let's go back.
Yeah.
When did you decide, and what was it? What was the catalyst to say, that said, I'm going to run for city council? What was it for you? Yeah.
Well, I had some folks who had sort of put the bug in my ear, probably 6 months to a year before, saying, hey, you got to think about this. There may be an open seat depending on what happens with the mayor's race and who jumps in and, who doesn't. And, so I've sort of been thinking about it in the back of my mind. My husband and I, we have 2 kids. For all intents and purposes, they're launched, doing things on their own.
Gotcha.
I'm a lawyer with a master's degree in public policy. And so really just sort of looking at the next chapter in my life, how I can put my skills to work in the community. And city issues are really important ones. They probably more than any level of government, they touch people's lives almost on a daily basis. And so I just felt like, I've got the time, I've got the skill set. Yeah. We raised our kids here. We're been involved in the community for a long time, feel passionate about this. And, just all those things sort of lined up. There was an open seat. And it just seemed like the right thing to do. So I thought, I'll throw my hat in the ring. We'll see what happens. And, if it happens, great. And if it doesn't, I'll find another way to be involved. So that's kind of the,
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing you there on election night, right? And everyone was waiting and stuff. And I think that everybody was a little bit, hey, when are we going to get these results? I mean, I didn't know. I think everyone was just wanting to make sure that it was good. But I mean, the relief, I think, and just like the awesomeness, even though it was like almost close to midnight that you guys found out, but still being able to go to sleep that night and say, wow, this is pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, it was it was a lot of hard work. I did a lot of door knocking, was walking doors every day, a lot of community meetings, that kind of thing. So, to have that work, pay off with a victory is a really sweet feeling.
What I thought was interesting, and a lot of people, you think about this, is that we're all like in social networking, and you know, everything is done communication by text and you know, whatnot, but really campaigning, to run a really successful campaign, yeah, you need that stuff.
Right.
But I think people really feel that it's important that they see someone face to face. Going old-fashioned canvassing, knocking on doors, and talking to people and shaking hands and whatnot. I think that's still important, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it's also educational for me. I got a very good sense of the district and what people's concerns were. And, you know, I ran a publicly financed campaign, so, you know, you don't have a lot of resources. So you really do have to, you know, get out and do some of the old-fashioned grassroots kinds of things.
And in some cases, you know, having that public financing, yeah, it limits it.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to think outside. Okay, I have you know, gum wrapper and a wire, and I have a cup of water, and I need to figure out how to use all these three things to make things successful. You know, you're a problem solver. You know, being a lawyer, and so it was. It really just comes down to making those connections with your constituents and taking the time and putting on the shoes, the walking shoes, and knocking on doors and talking to people, right?
Yeah. No, it was fun. You know, I have to say, it's I got bit by a dog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I earned my stripes. So survived.
Yes. Okay.
Little dog, kind of funny.
That's good.
You know, you wouldn't think that you know, I don't know. I think at least I do. I always think it's the big dogs. I mean, I have 2 dogs.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm afraid of dogs, but you know, when you're going into people's sort of personal space, dogs are going to be protected.
Yeah.
But you know, you sort of think of the junkyard dog. That's not. I got bit by a little guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No. Well, at least you know where to be careful now. And you know, got to watch out for that house right there on the street. What was your going in canvassing, what would you say was the biggest thing that you saw that was, you know, that people were really mostly concerned about in your district?
Yeah, you know, it really ran the gamut.
Really?
You know, everything from the things that we've been hearing about, you know, weeds, to housing, to economic development, to what we're going to do with the Midtown campus. I mean,
because Midtown is in your district, right?
It's not. It's right on the edge.
Right on the edge. Okay. Okay.
Right. So, but you know, it's an important piece of property for the city as a whole, and so you know, we're all thinking about it.
Right on. And last question I was going to ask you. So, what's your biggest priority for the city coming in?
So I think, you know, the things that I ran on are still really important. You know, we've been through the first round of the budget, so certainly putting the fiscal house in order, looking at the recommendations from the McCard report. I continue to ask questions about what we're doing, what we need to still be doing, where we are and all that. I think we're going to be getting a report to the Finance Committee, which I'll be very interested in. This new software that the city is implementing is going to be very important for addressing some of the recommendations in that report. So certainly that's still, you know, all the things I ran on. Housing, we've got lots of groups. The mayor's got a working group working on that. The Santa Fe Community Foundation has got a working group meeting to think about what we need to be doing. So there's some real energy around there, and I think there's some things that we can and will be doing, and we're just sort of some of it is a little bit of a waiting game. Again, this back to the transition thing, to see what those working groups have in mind for us to start off with. Sustainability. I was just at the Next Generation Water Summit, which concluded yesterday. It was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Really interesting. It was right here at the convention center.
Senator Udall spoke yesterday.
That's right. And you know, there have been some. They had some keynotes from people from out of state as well, and talking about the Colorado River Basin, the Colorado River Basin states, and you know, the issues around water in this region and the drought that we're in. So. You know, sustainability, whether it's water or energy, you know, those are all really important. So there's no shortage of,
I was going to say,
of
you
things
must,
to do.
how long does it take for you to go to sleep at night? Because you're probably, your wheels are just turning all the time, it seems, you know,
Yeah.
it would seem with all this
Some
stuff.
nights
but-
are better better than others, but I have to say, you know, my days are very full, so it's actually making the sleeping not so hard.
That's great. No, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on. I
thank
hope
you
it's
for
not.
having
I hope to have you back again
Yeah,
anytime. There's an
absolutely.
open invitation. So
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you.
again.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Councilor from District 2, City Councilor Carol Romero-Wirth has been our guest today. Folks, thanks again for joining us. I want to thank our producers and director, Christina and Adrian. And folks, thank you for joining us, and have a safe week. Have a great week. Adios.